Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. So with the big changes on the PTR, a lot of people have been talking about Roadhog and whether he's just any good anymore. A lot of people seem to think that the damage nerf was a big hit to Roadhog and he's just not going to get used anymore. But here at Overwatch Central, we wanted to get a professional opinion on this, much like the changes to Mercy and Winston when they happened. And today, to talk to me about Roadhog, I have Smex, which is a player for You Guys Get Paid. And so I sat down with him to talk about the changes to Roadhog, where he sits currently in competitive and the pro scene on the live servers, and whether Roadhog is any good anymore. First and foremost, these changes to Roadhog on the PTR, would you consider them a nerf?
They definitely changed the way he's going to be played throughout competitive and like professional play. Like, he's not that one-shot flanker that can go behind the team and get 2 or 3 picks anymore. He now creates a lot more pressure in the front line on the tanks. Characters like Tracer and Genji do the backline stuff now. He's not going to be like the solo carry hero that he used to be.
Taking it from the other way then, the main question is whether he's going to be good or not anymore, right? In a similar sort of vein. But let's ask the question, what do you think Blizzard's aim was with these changes? Was it just to get rid of that one-shot ability and just the sustain to survive anything and kill everyone quite easily?
Yeah, I think they thought that Roadhog just does way too much stuff. He could heal himself up to full HP, he could one-shot the enemy heroes, and he also has the highest damage on like shield break in the game, which is like super important.
It's really difficult to get numbers for how much the DPS loss is for Roadhog because there's no custom games in the PTR yet, but for you, how do you feel it is? Do you feel like you're doing a lot less damage overall, even with a faster fire rate?
I think you do the same amount of damage because you get the extra shot, so you don't have to reload as much, and you get the increased fire speed. It's nearly like McCree's fire rate.
So with him being changed then, what is Roadhog now good at that he wasn't before? What in Roadhog's kit has been buffed, and what can he now do because of it?
I think he's a lot more flexible now in a fight, where he could just, I don't know, he has his extra bullet now, which is really good against Tracer, because Tracer could dodge every one of his blinks and recalls, and use recall as well to dodge all of his shots and his hook, where now he has the extra shot and still has the ability to one-shot the Tracer still. So I think he's good in that aspect, but I don't think they've improved him at all. They've just toned him down, so he's just worse at doing what he was before, apart from like minor gameplay aspects.
He was a hero that was built around the hook combo melee, the hook shot melee thing, and now there are a lot of heroes in the game that he used to be able to kill with this combo that he can't now. Is that a massive thing that Roadhog's now losing out on, or would you say that it's acceptable considering he's now a lot better with much more mobile heroes, which currently are the current meta? A lot of these heroes have been played a lot more, and Roadhog just couldn't keep up. Yeah,
well, essentially, the difference, what they've done to him is that they pretty much just made him so he's there to, like, Tracer has no counter right now, and so they reduced his head hitbox as well with the patch, so he doesn't get shredded and farm like a whole pulse bomb off of him. So he's there just, I don't know, it feels like they don't want him to one-shot everyone, but I've done some more testing and I realized that the initial spreadsheet that came out with him, where people said only like 3 people could get one shot, you can actually one shot about like 70% of the heroes, apart from like Ana and like Widow. Those are only 2 I don't think you can one shot anymore. But if you like hook and then walk forward and shoot immediately, you still one shot like most of the heroes in the game. It's not that bad, but I think they're moving him towards a more of a support role, like all the, not a support role, but like he's got support aspects where the hook is there purely for you to play with your team and displace the enemy to bring them towards you. And being
less about just getting those picks off. Because he's that kind of hero that... Exactly. We're going on to this now, basically, where he's incredibly popular in competitive, all the way up to GM top 500. Whereas in the pro scene, you very rarely see much of him unless there's triple tank teams coming out, which is still very rare in comparison to dive.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Americans still like to run triple tank Roadhog, but it's really not that great because he feeds so much ult charge as a hero, and unless he's killing at least 2 or 3 people a fight, then it's really not worth like playing him. But it's just the fact that in competitive, like, the comms aren't there. for you to communicate where a Roadhog is all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be my point with the whole, he's there to just enable you to get picks easily and effectively.
Yeah.
So now does that improve him in the pro scene with the fact that he can deal with Trace a little bit more, or is it more likely to completely dwindle him in competitive because he now can't get those one-shot picks that might turn a team fight without anybody saying a word?
He's going to be played less in comp because people will start to get frustrated about hooking someone and then not killing them in one shot, and then like you know, they end up dying because of that. You know, support comes along for the guy that didn't get one shot.
What about in the pro scene as well? Because a lot of the triple tank lineups as well rely on Roadhog to do a lot of damage and to get those picks.
Yeah, I mean, in the pro scene, the problem with Hog is that if you can play around the enemy Hog really well. You can have a Zarya bubble. D.Va just outright counters Roadhog completely if played correctly. And if they make these changes to him, he's not going to be putting the damage onto heroes like D.Va, Winston that he really needs to be doing. Like the big part of Roadhog against Dive is that Monkey like it's one shot if he jumps into the enemy to the team. But if Winston doesn't have to worry about that, then you know, he has a lot more freedom.
So you do think that over competitive and the pro scene as well, that he's just going to be less effective and therefore used less?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's Reaper changes coming out. Like, it's really hard to tell before the patch changes because there's so many things they change at once that anything can become good at that point. Like the Reaper buff might be great with nano boost and stuff like that again.
Yeah, and I guess as well you had the nerfs to D.Va way back when, where people were like, she's unplayable now, she's not good, and she dropped out completely, whereas she's made a bit more of a comeback recently. Without any real changes to her, she was just much more suitable for the team comps that she was playing with and playing against.
I mean, they did make a really huge change to her. They made it so she can eat Ana nade off the ground. So like, even if the Ana throws the nade straight down at the ground, it still gets eaten. Yeah. But it was like the Koreans discovered, like, oh, okay, our Monkey can just stay alive and get like 3 primals like in the first point because he can just stay super aggressive and the D.Va just eats up all the damage. So I don't know, maybe Hog is going to be super good at just like one-shotting people still. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked at it. He has to get like perfect headshots pretty much now to one-shot most heroes. Against tanks, he's going to be even better. So if it goes to a tank meta, then Roadhog's going to be played even more, which I find is really interesting.
For the purpose of like the question that we started off with, is it a nerf or a buff? I guess it's more of a nerf than a buff. But would you say that it was warranted? Would you say that he was a hero that was just too strong currently? Or did you think that he was fairly balanced and this has just been unnecessary?
I think it was. I mean, I'm a Roadhog player in a sense, I guess, but I don't see him being overpowered because he's like a feast or famine hero. Like it's like a widow in a sense, you know. Like the enemy gets a ton of ult charge off of you for like pretty much no work if you just peek the slightest, but you have the potential, you know, to get that pick that pretty much seals a fight. But if both teams are running it, I don't think it's that big of a problem. Against Dive, it's extremely hard to get value out of Hog because they can poke and prod at him, and if he uses hook once, he just dies. I mean, it's not more of a nerf, I think. It's more of a gameplay change. He's going to be played a lot differently than he used to be, and I think that's all to it. People are just going to have to adapt to play the Hog in a new way rather than they used to play it before.
Is there any kind of things that you would expect would happen there then if he was played differently? Like, what can't he do anymore and what can he do now?
He's going to be played as a babysitter for Ana pretty much against Dive now. He's not like any comp, like he's just going to be babysitting the Reinhardt or the Ana.
So would you say he's more of a peeling hero then?
Yeah, he's following a similar kind of role to D.Va, but he's kind of worse at it. So I see probably more D.Va being played than Roadhog. But then the counter to D.Va is Roadhog, so...
I guess it's kind of similar to Zarya and D.Va then. That there's this off-tank, one counters the other, this bit of like a love triangle, I suppose, between Roadhog, Zarya and D.Va, because they can all kind of counter one another. So you end up in this game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, pretty much that's it. I mean, if you play Zarya and D.Va, then like Roadhog's useless. So if that ever becomes popular again, then Roadhog's gonna leave the meta for sure. But yeah, it's pretty much they just kind of all counter each other in a way. There's some aspect of their gameplay counter each other. You know, D.Va eats grab, D.Va eats whole hog, eats hook, eats pretty much all of his damage because he has to reload every 5 shots. So I don't know. He is definitely not going to be the same for sure. Played it way differently.
We did a video before Season 5 talking about heroes that people should maybe learn to not necessarily solo carry, but are just really good in competitive solo queue. Roadhog was of course one of them. Do you feel that that's still going to be the case with these new changes, or would you say learn D.Va instead or learn Zarya instead?
I think for competitive, if you want to reach the very top, then I don't think a Roadhog's going to be the way to go anymore. I think you want if you want to solo carry a game, you play Soldier or you play Zarya. Soldier, you work out your positioning in fights, and you have to get it pretty much perfect. So you have perfect position in every fight. You're always getting the damage in, and you're never dying. And Zarya, on the other side of the spectrum, you have to communicate to your team a lot more. And you know, like in comp, that's super important to just communicate with each other, get your Zarya high energy, and just roll through the enemy team with coordination.
So to sort of go over the main question that people have been asking about Roadhog, is he now bad? Is this the end of Roadhog in the current meta? Or would you say that people are being far too critical or jumping to conclusions, so to speak?
I think people are jumping to conclusions because from what I played with him on the PTR, he's got something to him. Like he's still Roadhog, he's still got the hook, he still has one-shot potential, although it's a lot less likely now. I think everything you could do with him before is just weaker, and then there's very niche things about him that have improved. I haven't checked if his damage is increased or not. With the damage per second has increased, but I assume it has because they increased the amount of bullets and stuff. So I really think it comes down to the player and how the player chooses to play Roadhog.
Now, you are a flex player, so you play a lot of different heroes, but if people wanted to watch you play the likes of Roadhog, Zarya, and all sorts of other heroes as well, where can they find your streaming? Because you've just started streaming now as well.
Yeah, they can find me at Smex_OW on Twitch. I stream there occasionally, and I play anything, pretty much. I'm always just rolling through the different roles, never just sticking to one hero.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you think of the Roadhog changes in the description below. Check out Smex's Twitch, you can find that in the description below as well. And until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.